Before we get started, I just want to give a little background to the wedding, so you guys kind of know what I'm in front of. My brother is a year and a half younger than me. His name's Dave, and he is a neuroradiologist. A radiologist specializes in brain and spine stuff. His wife-to-be is named Teddy, and she is in training to be a general surgeon. So they also met at Northwestern Hospital, where they both work, a few years back, and I'll explain that story. But just so you guys get an idea, the audience will kind of be about half doctors that they work with and half, family and some other people. My brother is kind of an interesting character. He's a pretty smart guy, and he thinks he's pretty slick, but it's pretty obvious to read what he's doing. So I don't know if that will help you kind of determine as to where I'm going with it. And then, I don't know, can I pretend like you guys are the couple with the speech? All right. Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Now you have to kiss.
Thank you. My name's Josh, and I am Dave's older, wiser, and of course, better looking big brother. Now, I understand that I'm the last thing standing here before some great food and an evening of entertainment, so I'll try to keep this brief. Last week, I was talking to Dave, and he informed me, or reminded me, that he and Teddy met about 3 years ago. And I was really kind of shocked, because I feel like time has just flown by these last 3 years. But as I thought about it, I thought back to one Saturday night in the fall of 2010, when Dave came over to my place. And we were just sitting on the couch, and we were watching some college football. Now Dave, at the time, was a senior radiology resident, and he was responsible for doing a series of night float, meaning he had to work from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., kind of be the on-call radiologist for the hospital. And he was telling me how during this night float rotation that he actually met this really cute girl from Oklahoma, and her name was Teddy. And it turns out that Teddy was the surgery resident that was working with the trauma surgery service conveniently during the same nighttime period. And since a lot of trauma patients have a lot of CTs and x-rays and imaging they need to get, Dave had the opportunity to meet Teddy first on a professional level, then on a personal level, and up until recently they actually just exchanged phone numbers and had been texting each other and calling. And he told me that Teddy actually tonight was going to this bar called Joe's on Beach Street in order to watch the OU football game. And he was a little concerned because while they had been texting earlier in the day, the text messages from Teddy were coming a little bit more sporadically and not as frequently as Dave thought they should be coming. And at the time, he had this really crappy cell phone, and Teddy had AT&T, and her service was really poor when she was in the hospital. And so Dave was concerned that the text messages that he was sending Teddy were actually getting lost in text message cyberspace. And he was worried that he might not have the opportunity to actually meet up with Teddy at Joe's on Beach Street to watch the OU football game. Well, being the big brother that I am, I assured him that both of their cell phones worked just fine, and Teddy was probably just ignoring him. Well, 10 minutes later, I was actually biting my tongue, because Teddy did text him, and she told him that she was at the bar, and she was with some friends, and she wanted to hang out. So, reluctantly, I went with my brother to the bar, and I remember the whole time kind of going there, I was like, great. We're going to go there, Teddy's going to talk to Dave for 5 minutes, and then she's just going to ignore him. And we're going to wind up standing around in this dirty bar, watching a game that I don't really care about. And I could just be at home, relaxing, and enjoying myself. Well, it turns out that for the second time that night, I was biting my tongue again, because Teddy didn't just ignore me. She actually spoke to him for the whole time the game went on. And what started at that bar continued to another bar, where there was a group of us sitting around a table, and Dave and Teddy were having an exclusive conversation the whole night long, and kind of just ignored everyone else that was around the table. And then thinking back about it, and I had this image in my head, I feel like this was the time that Dave and Teddy's relationship probably was solidified, and it probably truly started. So, I just want to say, it's 3 years later, and now we're actually wedding. So congratulations, it's been an honor to give this speech. But when I thought about how Dave actually met Teddy, I never really got all the details. He just kind of told me, I was at work, we were at night, we kind of bumped each other, and we met each other. So I decided to do some research. And what I found is that while Dave's version of the story isn't untrue, he just managed to omit some really interesting details that I think I should share with him. Now, I think it's safe to say that when Dave first met Teddy, he was determined to get to know her. And some of the tactics he used were pretty slick, I must admit. And from what I understand, in the radiology reading room at Northwestern Hospital during nights, the way the workflow goes, the junior radiology residents are responsible for reading all the studies that come in on the trauma patients. Dave, being the senior resident, wouldn't have the opportunity to directly speak with Teddy since those studies would go to a different colleague of his. So Dave conveniently managed to steal all the CT scans and x-rays from the other residents such that he would be able to give the report directly to Teddy when she came to the reading room to get the results. And he even would have some prepared jokes that he had tested with the guys at work to make sure that she would laugh and think that he was funny. Pretty slick, Dave. Now, when Dave found out that Teddy was from Oklahoma, he immediately assumed that he needed to become a big country music fan. So he started listening to artists like Eli Young and various other country music dancers or singers. And he actually would even have the music playing in the background of the reading room, such that when he paged Teddy and she called back to get the results from the CT scans, she would hear the country music playing over the phone. He also thought that it would be really cool to tell her that he was really into pickup trucks, even though he lived in the city, because he could haul around things like kegs of beer and wood. Well, let me tell you that I've been Dave's brother for 33 years, and there hasn't been one occasion where I've heard him listen to country music. And he drives a Volkswagen. And probably the thing that was most shocking to me was that, Teddy's not really a big sports fan, which is fine. But Dave really seemed to downplay and to almost denounce his love of sports when he met Teddy. Instead, he would serenade her with his guitar. Well, I can remember about a year after they met, when Dave called me almost in a frantic sort of push of speech, kind of really concerned. And he was telling me how he just bought this NBA Game Time package through this cable provider, which would give him the opportunity to watch every single regular season game from 5 different NBA teams, which amounted to a total of 410 games. Not a big sports fan, huh? But I think you really do Teddy a balance. But in any event, all jokes aside, when I look at Dave and Teddy, I really see a couple that has grown and matured together. And I think it's safe to say that when it comes to marriage, marriage isn't about finding someone that you simply can live with. It's about finding someone that you can't live without. And as I see how their marriage started somewhere in the wee hours of the night in the radiology reading room at Northwestern, and it progressed through 2 difficult residencies, including a year where Dave actually was in Madison doing his fellowship and coming back on the weekends when he had spare time to hang out with Teddy, and vice versa. When she had free time, she would go to Madison. And it's progressed to now, through their engagement, and now to their wedding day. And when I look at you, I see a couple who truly does care about each other, who's evolved together, who loves each other, and I think it's safe to say that you can't live without each other. So that being said, I'd like to raise our glasses and wish them a lifetime of happiness.